today's spell work is going to be a KWL. You're going to write what you already know and what you would like to know about one-step equations. At the end of this, you're going to fill out what you have learned about one-step equations. So think back to when you took 6th grade math. Think about when you learned about one-step equations. In the K column, write what you already know about one-step equations. In the W column, write stuff that you would like to know, stuff you're curious about one-step equations. At the end of this lesson, you're going to go back to the L and you're going to write what you have learned from this lesson about one-step equations. So at this time, go ahead and pause the video so you can fill in your K column and your W column. Alright. Subtraction property states that two sides of an equation remain equal when you subtract the same number from each side. So in a one-step equation, if you see addition in your problem, you're going to undo it by doing the opposite, which is subtraction. So in this case, I see that I have addition in the problem. To undo addition, I'm going to do subtraction, hence the subtraction property. So I see I have 6, so I'm going to subtract 6. In order to keep the equation equal, I have to subtract it from both sides. 6 minus 6 gives me 0, so I'm left with x. 4 minus 6, I'm going to use my negative rules that I learned in 6th grade, and I get negative 2. That is my answer. The next property is the addition property. The addition property states that the two sides of an equation remain equal when you add the same number to each side. So, in this example, we're going to see that I have subtraction in the problem. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Since I'm going to be using addition, I'm going to use the addition property. So, to keep it the same, I need to add the same number to both sides. So I'm going to add the number that is with my variable. So negative 2 is with the variable. To undo that, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Remember, I have to do it to both sides to keep it equal. Negative 2 plus 2 cancels, and I'm left with 0. So I'm going to have x equals 1 plus 2 gives me 3. Once I'm done, I can go back and check my answer to see if it's correct. So for example, if I check this, I plug 3 back in for x. I said x is equal to 3, so wherever I see an x, I'm going to plug in 3. Does 3 minus 2 equal 1? Yes. That is one thing I love about these problems, is you can always check it and make sure you got it correct. Okay, if you end up with the same answer at the end when you check it, you got the answer correct. The next property is called the division property. It states that two sides of an equation remain equal when you divide each side by the same non-zero number. You need to make sure when you're dividing that it's by a non-zero number. You can't divide by 0. So, when you have a one-step equation and you see you're using multiplication in this problem, you're going to undo it by doing the opposite. The opposite of division, of multiplication, is division. So, I'm going to take the 4x and I'm going to divide it by the coefficient in front of it, which is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1x is just x. Now, to keep it equal, I have to do the same thing on both sides. So I am going to divide the other side by 4. 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. Again, I can check this by just simply plugging back in what I got for x in for x. So I said x equals 5, so I'm going to rewrite the problem. I said x equals 5, so I'm going to do 4 times 5. 4 times 5 equals 20. If they're the same thing, I know right away before my teacher even checks it that I got it correct. The last property we're going to learn today is called the multiplication property. That states that two sides of an equation remain equal when you multiply each side by the same number. So you're going to use the multiplication property in any problem you have division. Because like I said before, the opposite of division is multiplication. They're the opposite of each other. Is written as a fraction, which is also known as division. Okay? You could also see it written like this. They're the same thing. In higher math, you're going to see it written like a fraction. So, I see division, so I'm going to undo it by doing the opposite, which is multiplication. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side to keep it equal. Remember, you always want to keep your equations equal. So if I do it to one side, I have to multiply it to the other side. Negative 4 and negative 4 cancel out, so I'm left with A. 9 times 4 gives me 36. Remember your negative rules from 6th grade. A negative times a negative leaves me with a positive. So my answer is going to be A equals 36. Here are 9 on your own problems. If you would like, take your time now and see if you can do these 9 on your own. We will go over them in class if you need additional help. You have one-step equations, look back at your notes, rewind the video if you need to see examples on how to solve these. Don't forget to go back to your bell work and fill in the L for what you have learned in this lesson. Have a good night.